Well, thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate it. And can you tell everybody about yourself?
Well, my name is Honda King. I am an actress. I was born that way, but about 10, 15 years ago, I started acting seriously. I've been in, oh my goodness, dozens of films, theatrical productions, commercials. Um, let's see, educational videos. I've done quite a few things over the years. Also, pageants. I was in talent pageants when I was in my teens and things like that. Other than that, I am a registered nurse and I've been a nurse for about 24 years. I'm married, I have some kids, and that just kind of sums it up.
Well, thank you. And I've noticed you've done a lot on your IMDb. And we can start off with 2016. You were in Sandy Short. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You played Miss Sandy. And of course, 2013, before that, you played in the Blood Link as well in the series. And then, of course, to fast forward a little bit, in 2023, you can again correct me if I'm wrong. You were in the Night Stalker Part Two, and then of course, you were in the
The
Rejects
song.
and Phoenix. So, let's start off with the most, 2023, of course, last year, the Night Stalker Part Two. What is that about?
Oh my gosh. It was so funny how I stumbled upon the audition. I was actually on YouTube looking at all these horror films because I love horror, but I hardly ever got cast for anything in that genre. And I watched it and then I went on backstage and I was like, oh my gosh. So it's suspenseful. It draws you in. It has you guessing about who's the stalker, who's gonna get killed, by who, when. And I just so happened to come in the second part and
Hmm.
I'm featured there. So I'm hoping that there's a third one and then I can do a little bit more. But it's if you're talking about horror, suspense, and just a good story, good indie film, this is one story that you gotta watch because you won't guess who it is. So
So, are
yeah.
you a horror person? Like you like to be in horror movies?
Well, that's the thing. I love horror, but you know what? I think when you do your last film or whatever you're doing, that's an audition for something else.
Hmm.
So a lot of my work has been dramatic, and I'm the most goofiest person ever, and I hardly get auditions for any comedy or horror.
Hmm.
And the first time I went out for a horror film, the director's gonna kill me. I'm sorry, but I went out for this horror film, and it was about this junkyard and these friends, about I think it was about like three or four couples in the van that we were riding in broke down, and we ended up going to this junkyard, and this person who ran a junkyard was plucking us off one by one. So I go in the audition, and the part that I had to play, I had to axe somebody's arm off
Ooh.
as opposed to just breaking the chain. So I mean, unconsciously, I'm thinking this is the stupidest thing ever. So I'm in character, I'm crying, I'm running. I go to pull up the axe and I burst out in laughter. Like I could not stop laughing. And in my head, it's like, Honda, shut up. You are blowing this audition. Stop laughing. And it was just a gut laugh because I just thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And then the director says, okay, oh, all right, let's just wrap this up. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I just made a you know what out of myself. I'm totally not gonna get this part. I didn't get the part. But he ended up friending me on Facebook, and he said, I thought your audition was good, and tell me a little bit about why you started laughing. But I just thought it was the craziest thing. And after that, I never had any more auditions for horror. I never saw anything that I fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But I had been wanting to work with director Kevin Phipps out of Arizona for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when we work together, it has to be something good. So he emailed me and he said, look, I got something. I know you're going to be good for it. It's an anthology.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 3 or 4 stories in it. And I want you to do the third story. I want you to be the lead in it. Here, look at the script and tell me what you think. And I looked it over and I thought, oh, this is it. This is it. So that film is called Dr. Saville's Horror Show. It
Mm-hmm.
is now on Amazon, streaming right now. And instead of us being me and the other lead, that's our story. Instead of us being third in the lineup, we actually opened up the film, which I was totally surprised by. But that film introduces a new a new
Character.
character
Mm-hmm.
with Dr. Saville. He's like a puppet master, he's granting everybody's wishes, but it's a little skewed, you know.
Well, and then of course, you have other upcoming roles that you have, I've noticed, and of course, you can't say them because I understand, um, but I the Night Stalker and the Randy were just recently talking about. It's all these horror films, horror stories that you like to do.
I
You know,
know. I mean, when I saw the Stalker, I thought, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known sooner. I wish I would have been here. But when I actually, a funny thing, when I went to film my part, the director, Michelle Lewis, her son is in the film as well. And he looked at me, he said, oh, you're the one who made my mom cry. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, your audition, the monologue that you did, my mom cried. So the next thing you know, everybody's coming in, you're the one who made Michelle cry, aren't you that? So, I mean, it's just drama. I love drama, but I haven't had the opportunity to work that comedy muscle.
mhm.
And I'm just getting started with the horror. I never thought I would be the perpetrator. I always thought I would be the one that is getting chased and hunted, but on Dr. Saville, I'm actually the perpetrator. So it was a different
Right.
way of prepping for this
Mhm.
role, and it was very emotional. I would say it's very emotional.
And out of all the roles you played, which one's your favorite so far?
Oh my gosh. Um, you mentioned Sonny's Secret, right?
Hmm.
I actually wrote that film, and it that one was basically me telling my story in a way. I wanted to tell my story, but didn't really want to tell my story. So that one is about just depression and suicidal ideation, suicidal attempt, things like that. The stress of the world is coming down on you. What do I do? And so that one resonated a lot with me because it was my story slash, and then it was like a seed of truth. And I tried to build circumstances around it. But of course, it was my first film. And I'm glad I did it, got that experience. But Sani, also, I did a couple of theatrical productions that I really liked. I did Triumph Over Tragedy. I did that, and that was based on Tanya's life as an abused child.
Hmm.
So that was really really hard, but I liked it because I was able to talk to her and incorporate her, but as well as what am I bringing to the table as well. So,
Right.
and then the other ones, I like Dallas. Dallas was in the rejects, so I was able to play kind of a bad girl in a way. So yeah, it's just a couple of areas and characters and stuff like that that I
Mhm.
haven't yet explored because, like I said, people would see me in drama and then they cast me for
Right.
another role, and it's just been drama, 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 and I haven't been able to exercise a lot of
Mhm.
those different areas. But
And now you you said you were a nurse,
yeah.
and I'm going to ask, how was your life during the pandemic time? And I know it's been rough on everybody, and I totally understand. It was so weird. It was, wait, what was going on in the world? And but during the pandemic time, you being a nurse,
Right.
was it hard for you to continue auditioning for the film during the pandemic? Were you just focusing on, caring for these patients and worry about health? And what was going on in your time during that?
Actually, I had moved from Arizona to Las Vegas. So I was totally a new actor in the Vegas actors independent community. So I was trying to kick the door in that way. And I was actually cast for 2 films out there. And it was pretty hard to um, try to get together to rehearse because of all the mask mandates and the
Hmm.
stay homes and things like that. But I was able to make some good connections out there. But of course, you really couldn't do too much out there. But I just tried to do what I could. And every day I find something to act about. And I said, well, if I can't act, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to work today. I am going to be the female version of Mr. Rogers, and I'm going to do it all day. I'm going to stay in character all day. Despite what's going on around me, I'm going to be the happiest thing. And it was the longest, most brutal 12 hours ever, because here we are. I'm looking at this pandemic, and these patients are everywhere. We don't understand what's happening, scared to death. But I'm trying to keep a straight face because my husband was just petrified. He did not want me to go to work. He wanted me to just quit. And I told him, no, when you take an oath to take care of patients, you have to do your job. Look at when HIV was out there,
Hmm.
it's still out there. But when we first heard about that, um, what was it? That back in 2010, you had the H1N1, but of course, nothing like COVID. You don't understand anything. So I told him, I said, well, that's like telling the firemen, oh, there's a fire down the street, turn around and go home. It doesn't work like that. So it's just like you just have to take the precaution
Right.
that is right here in front of you, and you just do the best you can. And we had a whole system. He would pull up, I would take my jacket, my hat, everything, Lysol it down, put it in the trunk, and then run through the house completely naked to the shower. And he would Lysol everything I touched. And we didn't let anybody in the house. So, I mean, it was you know what? That was one thing that I hope we never have to go through
Hmm.
ever again,
You
because I
know,
lost
and
so many
the
friends.
right, and the reason I ask you is you're a nurse, and thank you for being a nurse. I totally respect that. And the reason I had to ask you because you're being an actress, but you're also being a nurse. And you're right. You're I may not fully understand. Please understand me, but
Yeah.
you go out there, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, firefighter, and police officers. You go out there and during the pandemic, you don't know what's happening, you're risking
Right.
your life. And it's just like what's happening, right? And also, behind that, it's like as being an actor or a producer, director, it's like how are you gonna make shows? How are you gonna make film? And it's like we can't get everybody together, and it's like what
Right.
happened? So it's like I totally understand. It's a shock, and now we're back to normal.
Right. But I actually during the pandemic there was another. I don't know if I should say it, but it was it was a pilot that I was supposed to be um, one of the leads in, and it was about a pandemic. Of course, it was based. To see the truth was COVID, but it was something different. And we were from all over California, Arizona, and we did it was like a couple of people that we did like a Zoom online type of thing, but it never went forward, and it was a great script, and we were just wondering like when are we going to film this, but we never got around to filming it. And it was a really good script based on exactly what we were going
Hmm.
through. And it was just crazy, the whole pandemic where, I've been a nurse for 24 years. And when I first began nursing, they drilled it in our heads. It's not enough nurses. It's not enough nurses. And then boom, we get hit with this pandemic. And now you have sick patients everywhere. We didn't even have any rooms for them. We had them in the hallway, and we just put like partitions around, and then we didn't have enough oxygen blenders, or we didn't have enough heated oxygen blenders, and it was just crazy. It was still from one patient that was doing well, give it to another one, and I don't know, and then pray and cross your fingers and your toes that 2 weeks from then you didn't have a break in any of your PPE and that you're not sick.
Right.
So that was the hardest thing. But despite it all, us nurses, we have a really weird sense of humor. And so we just did all kind of crazy things just to keep us from crying all the
Right.
time.
I totally understand.
So,
Well, thank
yeah,
you for being a nurse.
yeah, I love it.
So what is the most challenging role you found in acting so far?
Let's see. Oh my gosh. The most challenging, or would I say the least experience that I had, was when I played a domestic violence victim. I don't have any experience with that. I have friends who had experience with that. And that was really hard because I didn't want my mind to go there.
Hmm.
I didn't want to think about someone loving me but hurting me at the same time. That was really, yeah, that was very dark. It was very dark, and I didn't want to go there. But in order for me to portray the character 100% and give everything that I had to pick up that rug and sweep everything from up under
Hmm.
it. And I had to just strip myself down and prep honestly for that role. So yeah, that was really challenging as well.
And when was that released?
That was um oh my gosh, I have to look on my IMDb because a lot of things I audition for, and then everything hits at one time, and then I start filming all these different films at the same
Hmm.
time, and then I'm going to premiere here, premiere there, when I did it about
Hmm.
2-3 years apart. So I would have to look at all those years because I've done so many
I can tell
things.
you've done so many. Um, Now, what is your short-term goal and what is your long-term goal?
Well, my short-term goal, I had to really think about what success meant for me as far as acting. And of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to be a big star, and I want to do this and I want to do that." Less than 10% of all actors actually make it. So once I realized that that percentage of actually making it was so small, I thought, okay, why are you acting? What do you want? And I've been an actor my whole life. I mean, I remember as far as being 4 or 5 years old, I didn't even know how to write. I remember dressing up in my mom's clothes. I got a piece of paper out. I was writing on it. I thought I was doing cursive, but it was all these little loops. And I was having my own interview. And I was sitting there in the mirror and I said, hey, I'm interviewing about being a star and I want to be a star. And I'm doing the whole interview. And my mom comes in and she goes, well, you can't interview to be a star. You have to be discovered. And I said, what do you mean discovered? She said, Evelyn Champagne King, she was discovered singing in a record studio. And I mean, not the record studio, the record shop. And here I am, I'm 4 or 5. And I said, well, that's going to take me forever. Who's going to discover me in the record shop? So I was totally like blown away. And so it's been like a stop and go thing for me over the years. But a short-term goal for me that I put for myself that I wanted to actually have a film that was accessible to everyone across the country or around the world, whatever. That was my short-term goal, and I have achieved that. And then my long-term goal, of course, is to be consistently working. I would love to be in a series, start off the pilot in a series or something like that. That would be my long-term goal. But as long as I'm doing what I love, which is acting, I'm fine with that.
That's true. If you love being an actor, we're fine with it, right?
I'm telling you, my mom said to me, she said, when you stop doing what you love, a part of your soul dies. And I had no idea. I understood it, but I didn't understand it. And when I got married and had kids, I stopped doing everything. And I thought, what a boring humdrum life. And this isn't me, but what am I going to do now? So my husband and I, we were watching one of Tyler Perry's movies, and he said, why do you think Tyler Perry keep using the same Black actors? He said, is there a cap on actors in Hollywood? Like, what's going on? And I said, well, I don't know. And he says, I think you can do this. And I thought, I'm at the time 37 years old. What are you talking about? And he was like, I think you can do it. So I went down and signed myself up. And next thing I know, I landed a WIC commercial, like the women and infants commercial, landed that commercial. And I thought, okay, all right, maybe I still got a little something. And then from there, I was the bug. I got bit by the acting bug again. And then I came on out and just been working ever since. And every time I think that I'm done with it, someone always calls me, or I win an award, or something happens. So that's why I think with 100% certainty, I know rather that God, universe, whichever spiritual being that you look up to, put everybody on the earth to do a job. And either you already know it or you come to learn about your talents and your abilities somewhere along the line. And no matter how much you try to divert yourself from it, it always finds you. Every single time, it always finds me. And I see that every time I try to quit, it comes right back. So
amazing. What do you believe the most challenging aspect of being an actor?
Oh my gosh. As far as what do you mean in particular? About just training or about like a generalized question? I think, oh, you know what? This is a big one. you have to 100% believe in yourself, because you get told no so many times. And in the beginning, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not enough. And then I realized, no, you are enough. You are good, but maybe you're just not good for that role. That doesn't make you a bad actor. It doesn't make your look bad. It's none of that stuff. It's having that thick skin and letting all that negativity just roll off of you. And I think that part right there is the most challenging, at least it was for me, to accept myself and say, this is me, no matter what. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to put 100% in. I'm going to stay focused. This is my character. This is the area I'm going. And that's it. And I had one of my coaches tell me, God rest his soul in peace, because I just lost him. And Bill Howie, beautiful, wonderful acting coach. He was the best ever. His son is Steve Howie, and he's out there on all these other shows and stuff. He told me that I was fearless. And he never said, you have it. He says, you have something. You have something. But yeah, I think that's it for me.
That's amazing. Now, what is your advice for someone who wants to get into acting?
My advice is just what I just said. Love yourself. Know that if you don't get a role, do not take it personally. Love yourself. You have to love yourself. That's 100% love yourself. Don't be afraid to take chances, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Stay focused, stay driven and dedicated, work on your craft. If it comes a time where you're auditioning and you're just not landing anything, like my mom used to tell me, these people don't know talent when they see it. You just have to just keep focused and keep going, because you may get told no 50 times before you get that yes. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad actor.
Right.
And you have to keep that in the back of your head, that you are enough and that you are talented. It's just, it has to be the right project for you. But don't give up and just keep going.
That's true, 100%. What do you say is your greatest accomplishment so far as an actress?
Oh my gosh, I've had so many hurdles and everything. Like I said, my goal was to be, I wanted to be in a movie theater, but because of with this COVID and all that stuff, it didn't happen. But thank goodness for the apps. Like I said, my greatest accomplishment is having films that are accessible to everyone everywhere, because being an independent film actress, you have to be in that community to see a lot of the premieres, a lot of the films. Because when I was starting out, over 10 years ago, it was just your acting community that saw the projects. I think it was like the first Friday of every month was like a film festival. Oh my gosh, so many films were being up there, and I kept seeing the same people, and I'm thinking, why did I just see this woman in 4 films, and what's going on? And then I thought, I got to get out there. But it was just that whole Arizona community. And so I just got on Facebook and I started infiltrating all these different groups. I saw one in Atlanta, I saw one in Chicago. I was in all these different groups. And so I have friends all over the place because of it. But a lot of the times, if the film is not put into a film festival, or if it doesn't, right now, if it's not streaming, it's just shelved. So it's so many films that I've done that I haven't seen because they didn't have the money to push it, or they never finished it. I don't know what happened with those projects, but now with the emergence of the internet and all these different apps, it's like these films are started to come to life again. So I have The Rejects that's on Amazon, Dr. Saville that's on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 7 Hours in Heaven that's on Amazon, and The Stalker is actually out now as well. You can buy it or rent it. I found out about that yesterday. So I'm good as far as that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep acting, but I
Mm-hmm.
also I'm gonna cross over into modeling. So I have, fingers crossed, I have an audition for that on Monday for a modeling agency, for
I
more
wish you luck
curvy.
on that. I wish you luck on that.
I appreciate
You're
that.
very
Thank.
welcome. Now, do you have any funny or interesting stories behind scenes?
Oh my gosh. Besides that audition where I just totally messed it up laughing. Um, I was doing a Dr. Saville. We were having like a very emotional um part. We did all the emotional scenes like one weekend. So I was just crying, blubbering all over the place. So this she worked in the the crew, and she comes up to me and she goes, Honda, I need to take a picture of your costume. And I looked at her, that's costume. I said, what are you wearing costumes? This is wardrobe. And it just took me out of my character. And I just thought it was hilarious. And we just could not stop laughing at her. I know she was totally mortified by it. And somebody said, no, in theater, it's like a costume, but in film, we call it a wardrobe. She's not wearing a costume. And I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. That part we had, of course, when you're doing theater, people, part of the crew may have left something out there that wasn't a part of the film, and or I know that I was in a play called Don Juan in Chicago. Usually, the part that I play is played by someone white, never of color. And I played this part. And I'm coming through the window, I'm creeping through the window, and there's like a nail there. And I get stuck on the nail, and I'm thinking, well, what? Oh my God, how do I get? I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck on this. How do I do it without taking the whole the whole stage scene down with me? But I managed to get out of the window and just do a little improv there, had the audience laughing a bit. But so it's like those little bloopers and stuff like that, but nothing too ridiculous. But yeah, we had some things, minor things like, oh, we had a scene in one of these theatrical plays, and there was like an ottoman that was supposed to be moved. And the guy that was playing my husband, he said, grandma's ottoman here, and picked it up. So the audience knew that it was from the grandmother scene. So you can't ignore stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it was like a whole bunch of little things, but not anything like too big. Um, there was another time where I was in Summer Rain, and I played kind of the bad person, but not really the bad person. And because it was a faith-based play, so bad but not bad. And I'm at the front of the stage, center front, and I'm going across the stage, and this person actually stood up and said, "You don't do your sister like that." And he was just screaming and like heckling me the whole time. And I'm thinking, doesn't he know this is a play? Like, why are you yelling at me? And then after that, we had a meet and greet. Nobody came to talk to me. So I'm thinking, okay. So obviously I played the part right. I'm the villain. Nobody's coming over here talking to me. So I just stayed there for a little bit. And this 12-year-old, he comes up to me and he goes, um, can I have your autograph or take a picture with you? And then after that, then people started coming over. But for the longest, I was just sitting there by myself. Nobody would talk to me at all. But I ended up winning an award for that, bro.
That's good. I'm so sorry that happened to you, but that's so funny.
I know people are like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're acting. Stop
Yeah, I
it. Stop.
know.
They're just heckling me. But yeah, I mean, nothing too
Right.
crazy,
Nothing
but
crazy.
nothing crazy. But there was one thing that I did. It was have you ever been to one of those murder mystery dinners or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I was supposed to be in this murder mystery playing the nurse. And every time the thunder will come in, I would scream and do some ridiculous thing. And the director would not stop laughing the whole time. So it's like, how are you supposed to keep a straight face? He's like, you're cracking me up, you know? And he goes, you know what? This was during the audition before I landed it, obviously. He was like, you know what, just stop. You got the role. You got the role. I can't, you know what? You're cracking me up over here. So I did that, and then every time the thunder, I would just do something ridiculous, and the whole cast would laugh. And then I ended up um, doing something for the Fat Guy Radio Show. It's by Like Minds Creative, and that's on YouTube as well. But you know what? I'm the biggest goofball, and I have not done a lot of comedy, but I try to insert things in there when I am doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything dramatic, I still kind of put something in
Right.
there. Yeah.
Well, I just had to ask.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's so many things, but nothing like too over the top, like
Mm-hmm.
things falling on people's heads or anything like that. It's just been little things or
Mm-hmm.
um nothing really. Not
Right.
yet. I'm pretty sure I run into it.
When I have you back, you have more. But like I said, you have so many upcoming projects,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to have you back and talk more about it.
Well, some of them say that they're up and coming, but they're already been released.
Okay. Okay.
There's one in there, Grief. That one's there. It's saying post-production. I've done that about 5 years ago. So I don't know why it's still saying that. I haven't even seen it actually. Because that's the other thing. Every time there's a premiere in the independent film community, if you're not present right there, I can't see it unless someone sends it to me because
Mm-hmm.
time
Right.
it was streaming.
And I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it publicly, but I think part of it is because we have all this SAGA strike,
Right.
and again, it doesn't matter if we're independent or not, union
Yeah.
or not, we're in this together as a
Right.
family. And it's as independent, union or not, we have a voice. We are fighting for these people.
Absolutely.
We are understanding what they're going through, and what they're saying is true. If it impacts them, it could impact the independent. And that's what I'm
Definitely.
saying. So that's
Right.
why, we tell people, and I tell people, it's like, you have to understand, we are here to fight. We have a voice. Whereas, there's independent actors and producers and directors that go out and march with these people because they know what is
Right.
going on.
Because it's gonna affect you, impact your career one way or the other. Because right now I'm non-union. I've been trying to get into SAG films, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times they don't even give me the chance. They're like, oh, well, you're not SAG. And it's like, okay, well, how am I gonna be SAG if I don't get the opportunity to even audition for a SAG film. So at that time, I was really gung-ho about, oh, I'm going to be SAG, I'm going to be SAG. I actually, there's a film on Netflix called Stretch. It had, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. The guy that plays, oh my gosh, he plays in The Conjuring. Can't think of
Oh,
it. He um
yes.
he plays Stretch. So this was the thing. I was gonna be a part of the background. And I used to work the night shift. And I got my call sheet, and it said that I was supposed to be on set at 1 a.m. So I worked all night long. I got off at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Now my set time is 1 o'clock the following morning. But I figured I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna get some sleep, and then I'm gonna jump in my car and drive to LA, and I'll be okay to meet my time, my set time. I'm walking out of work. I get an email and it says, oh, you have to be here at 7 p.m., not 1 a.m. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get some sleep and pack and do all of this stuff? I'm not going. And my husband, he goes, oh, yes, you are. Already booked your hotel. You're going to XYZ. You're going. You better take a power nap. But you're going. So I jump in the car. I drive to LA. A tractor trailer falls over on a 2-lane highway. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be totally late. So I'm thinking, is it unprofessional for me to not call? Or is it more unprofessional for me to just show up late? So I ended up calling and telling what was going on. And they're like, don't worry, just get here as soon as you can. So I get there, and they check my hair and makeup. And one of the makeup ladies says, you see that guy over there? Go, yeah. She said, I started doing makeup 20 years ago, and he's been an extra 20 years. She says to me, don't do this. She said, do not do this again. And I said, okay. She said, especially in LA. She said, because the directors will look at you and they would think that you're not serious. She said, so do not do this. So I ended up doing all the things that I was supposed to do on the set. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to creep in here and be a part of the background, and nobody's going to know me or whatever. I show up in a sequin cocktail dress. And and the makeup artist says, you look so good. She said, but you know what? When the light hits you, you're going to look like a big old disco ball. So we're going to have to place you somewhere. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go back to the hotel. No, I'm going to talk to the director and we're going to place you. We don't want you leaving. And as soon as I walked on set, they were calling my name, Honda King over here. And I'm like, oh my God. She just said for them not to know my name. And they're like, hey. But yeah, so I did a lot of stuff like that as far as getting dressed in your car, doing your makeup and running around and doing a lot of stuff in LA. I did stuff before I talked to that lady. I did like reenactments, you know how they have those what is it? What show I was on? It was those murder reenactment shows.
Right.
So I was in like 2 or 3 of them and things like that. And then after that, it was just background stuff. But like I said, you know, I starting off, of course, you're going to do your background. And if there's like a really big production and I'm just trying to get to know these directors and get into their radar, then I would do those big films, you know, like you have Transformers. Oh my God, I'm going down there to audition, even though, you know, it's 2,000 people down there. I'm just going to go because you just never know. You know? So if it's something big like that, I would go. But other than that, I just, you know, I just go for things. Even if I'm
always go for things. Very
yeah,
important.
I'm one of those people. If it said that I mean, when I started acting, I went out for everything. I mean, if it said I wouldn't do that going to LA or any big place like that, but in the independent film community, they were like, "Oh, this is a Caucasian lady," and I'm like, I'm going to send my stuff anyway. And I didn't want to do it at first, so I just didn't send my stuff in initially. But I had gotten off of work, got dressed in my truck. I was at the audition area like an hour early, and this guy, I guess he was auditioning as well. He had gotten a flat tire, and this guy comes out of the building and he goes to the actor. He says, "Oh, I could help you with this flat tire." And the actor was so rude to him. He was so rude. And then come to find out, he's a director. He comes out and my face hit the floor because I heard how rude that guy was to him. And I go in to audition and he looks over my resume. He goes, "Honda, well, why aren't you auditioning for the lead?" And I said, well, it's calling for a Native American and I'm not Native American. And he goes, "It doesn't matter. You should have submitted for it." And after that, I started submitting for things that I didn't fit, but then I won a couple of roles.
Hey, you never know.
That's what I said. So you never know because you think you know what you're looking for, but then somebody else may come in with the different that you weren't thinking about. And then that's another thing that as a Black actor running into a lot of scripts that were written white. Everything is white. And then if there's a Black person in the script, it's like that stereotypical role. Oh, you're the one that's doing the head all like this, or you're the robber, you're the crackhead over here. And I just got really tired of
Right.
roles. I said, us as Black people, as people in general, we all have a story. We've all been in love. We've all had heartache. We've had the alcoholic crackhead cousin in the family. We have that same type of thing. We have the same story. So why is it urban when there's a Black lead? And why isn't it called urban when there's a white lead? What's with that? So I was running into a lot of that. So I started to circling like the Black film area and connecting with a lot of Black directors and film writers and in theater as well as film. And then we created like a Black Facebook group of actors because we didn't know who was out there.
Right.
And then that's when we were like, "Hey, I'm in film," or "I'm in film."
One thing I noticed, part of me is I love the support in community.
Right.
And we have to support each other.
Right. Absolutely.
So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean it's horrible when you feel like you're being excluded just because of the color of your skin or whatever. And it's like
it's sad. It's sad. It's sad to think about that, but it's a truth.
It is. I mean, and the thing about it was I was trying to build a team around me. I wanted some people to write for me. So I wanted some script writers. I wanted my makeup people. I wanted everybody around me. And I found a writer in LA and we were trying to get the movie out. We're sitting down at a production meeting and stuff like that. And the director tells me, well, if you lead this, it's not going to go far because it's going to be looked at as urban. And I said, okay, here we go with this again. So what am I doing now? So where do you see me? If I'm not doing the lead, what am I doing? So he said, "Oh, well, you're going to be featured." And I go, "Featured?" So I go from the lead down to a featured extra. And at first, I didn't know what to think about it, but I said, well, I'm not going to be unprofessional. I'm not going to start acting crazy about it or putting up a big fuss. So I was going to do it. And then when my husband found out, he totally freaked out about it. And he said, no way, no way, we're not doing this. And the ironic thing about it was that I ended up doing another film, and the people who were going to put the money behind it for the film that I got bumped from the lead said, well, who is this person over here? Why can't she be the lead in that film? And I thought, bam. Yeah.
Well, it really is when you it's sad when we think about it,
Yeah.
but as myself as an Asian American,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad that it thinks correct, right wording. It's sad that it's happening in the entertainment industry, but it happens anywhere.
Right.
And so, you know, in my heart goes out to you. I've experienced it. Other people I know have experienced it. People who are in the entertainment industry or not, but we have a voice,
Right.
and we're the one thing I love and love dearly about the entertainment industry is we're a family, and
Mm-hmm.
we are fighting for each other. We're showing
Right.
respect, and
Absolutely.
I've noticed, and I could be wrong, but I've noticed that a lot of diversity films are coming out more. And this
Yeah.
is and that's one thing I love about this is we are a family. We're showing about what our ideas in the film.
Right. And that's what I was trying to say is that we all have stories. It's not just we have different stories and every group, whether you
Mhm.
black, white, Asian, whatever, everyone experienced love.
Right.
So everyone has that story. You love, you lost, you had some person that passed away, you had kids, you have a job, I mean, everybody has that story. So it's not like there should be any exclusion of
Mm-hmm.
anybody. Um,
100%.
and then I love the fact that we're getting all this LGBT, all these different
Yes.
soul stories too. It's like, yes, it's just so many stories and twists and turns and seeing stories from other countries. It's like, oh my gosh, never thought about that before. That's a
Yeah.
different take on
100%. 100%.
it.
We
So
do.
yeah, I'm just interested in people, period. I think I should have been like an anthropologist or something. I mean, because it's just like different cultures. I told my husband that I wanted to do round the world nursing, and he looked at me like I had three heads on my shoulders. And I said, well, of course, I don't speak any other languages. So I'm going to do all the English speaking countries and just go see how people live and learn from it. Because when you're an actor, this is what my coach always said, people want to see real people. They want to root for you. And
Right.
you have to do your due diligence to go out there and study people watch. Look how people speak when they take their pauses, when they're thinking. And this is what you have to do as an actor. You have to study. And so I do a lot of that knowingly and unknowingly. I'll do it. So that's why I said I think that I've just been blessed with this talent forever. And being a nurse, you have to act too.
Mm-hmm.
You
100%.
know, because somebody could be ringing that call like a million times, and you're like, I wish this person to stop ringing this light. And then I open the door. Hi, is there anything I can do for you? Okay. You want me to give you some pain medicine, help you to the bathroom? Close the door. Hi. So you're doing the acting there, good and bad. You have bad information, but you don't want to tell the patient, vice versa. Or they
Yeah.
may have social issues with the family, and you can't let this person in because the patient doesn't want that person to come in and they don't know anything about it. So yes, I'm still utilizing. I
Mhm.
always find a avenue, even when the camera isn't pointed at me, of learning. Yeah,
Right. 100%. Yeah.
yeah, that's what
Well,
I believe.
it's been, all your stories been, it's amazing. And it just, I appreciate you so much for being on my show.
I'm sorry if I was all over the place.
No,
It's
no,
just,
no, no, don't feel bad.
no,
I've learned so much about you.
yeah. Yeah, then when you see me and you're looking at my social media, you're like, what clown doing over here? I'm just, I'm comedy,
Well,
to
one thing I do agree with you about being a nurse is you're right. Patients press these call buttons. And I always wonder what these nurses' faces are. They come down, they're like, how can we help you? They're so friendly. And I always wonder what they're like when they close the door. Like, I want to have a camera. Like, let me step out the door and say,
you what happens when you come out of the patient's room. You may get stopped by a patient walking in the hallway. You may get stopped by your nurse's aide saying you have a phone call, or doctor's at the desk, the lab's on the phone, the pharmacy's on the phone. You're getting pulled in a million directions. And then you're like, okay, I came out of the room. What did I come to get? Oh, I forgot. And then the call light will go off. Oh, what happened to my water? Oh, that's what I was coming to get, a pitcher of water. And then you go into the room. Is there anything else that I can do for you? At least that's what the nurses should be saying. Do you need some pain medicine? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need a snack or whatever? But then people probably don't think about it until after you leave. And then they ring. Oh, I do want some pain meds. And you're like, I just left the room. But you know, despite it all, we're nurses because we want to make a difference in somebody's life here.
right.
We want to make sure that people are healthy, that they have the right education and the tools to understand what's going on with them, to medicate themselves, and to get to the proper appointments to keep them healthy. Right now, as far as my nursing side, I'm actually training to be a sexual assault nurse examiner. When I worked in the emergency room, I did a little bit of it, but I wasn't actually certified. So right now I'm going through like a 2-month class, and I'm almost done now. So that's going to be a different avenue. It's going to be more emotionally taxing. So I definitely need an outlet. And that's where the acting comes in, because, the way I look at acting is like the stock market. Yeah, you jump in there when it's good, and then you kind of jump out, or you just jump in and take, and then cash out and jump back out. Or just
Mhm.
somebody's, when you look at the character and you're doing your prep, you're jumping into this character's life, you're breathing life into this character at a certain age, and then you jump back out. So that's how I look at it.
Mhm.
And I go from there. And a lot of the times I get cast for things or roles that are much younger than what I am. People look at me, I'm not afraid. I'm 51 years old, but people are like, oh, so I jump in there and I can play that 35, and I can be authentic about it because I lived that. I was
Mhm.
35. I went through that stuff. I know what I did. I know mistakes I made. And if I knew then what I knew now, that type of
Right.
thing, go back and be stronger in my performance, because I have that life experience to bring into my prep. So anybody out there, you're like these little young actors who are just maybe like 16 and they've just had like a neat normal life and haven't really experienced a lot of things. I mean, I would say, you know what? Don't be hard on yourself because you don't have the experience, and it's hard to get into a character and try to bring experience that you don't have. So that's why they have that seed of truth. So you gotta have a little bit of truth, it could be, all right, the story is about you lost your father. Maybe you've never lost anybody close to you. Maybe you had a goldfish that you lost when you were 5 and you knew how much you love that fish. That's your seed of truth. So you take that pain and you take that shock of finding your fish, and you just kind of build those imaginary circumstance around that. You're not acting then, right?
Right.
It's truth. So that's what you're doing, and then you can be more genuine if you have that experience. So I would say, don't be discouraged if you don't have the life experience. You can always look at YouTube. You can always talk to your parents. You can always talk to people who've gone through that, and learn that way too if you don't have the experience. So I'm way off track here, but
well, that's amazing. Then that's a good advice. I appreciate it. And you don't look 57 years old.
51.
51. I made it worse. 51.
51. Oh my gosh. I told my kids that I was in slow motion, that they was just getting older.
I feel so bad. I'm so sorry.
What? It's the connection.
I know, but I said 50, 51, but you don't look that age.
Yeah. Trying to take care of myself, but
Well, I know. Again, I do apologize, but thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I hope I wasn't rambling too much.
No, you weren't.
Whatever.
I love to have you back on my show again.
That'll be great. Then I'll be like, I know you. You know me. We have this experience here. I'm comfortable.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on my show. It means a lot. And I can't wait for more upcoming projects for you to do. And you're always welcome back on my show.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome again. Thank you again for coming on.
All right. And thank you to all the viewers out there who are watching. Follow me. Go watch Dr. Saville. Rejects.
That's true. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.